When the man you love becomes the reason you lose everything, and fate gives you one final chance to forgive or destroy him, what will you choose? Stay till the end, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more heart-wrenching true love stories that will make you believe in miracles again. It was raining the night my world ended, the kind of rain that beats against hospital windows like it's trying to wash away every sin ever committed. But some stains, no matter how hard you pray, don't fade. I remember my trembling hands clutching the edges of the emergency room door, my breath breaking as I screamed for help, the scent of antiseptic mixing with fear and blood. And there he was, Dr. Adrian Hayes, my husband, my love, the father of my child, standing under the harsh fluorescent light with his surgical mask hanging loosely around his neck, his eyes empty, cold, and unreadable. "Please, Adrian," I begged, my voice cracking like glass. "It's our son. Please save him." But he just looked at me, his gaze piercing straight through my soul, and without a word, he turned his back and walked away, leaving me and our dying child drowning in the sound of my screams. That night, the world shattered. I held little Ethan's lifeless hand until dawn, feeling the warmth fade from his fingers, feeling the silence settle like a tomb around me. People said he was too far gone, that even the best doctor couldn't have saved him. But deep down, I knew. Adrian could have tried. He just didn't, and I never knew why. Days turned into months of nightmares and unanswered questions, and my marriage, once built on laughter and gentle promises, became a graveyard of what-ifs. I left him, unable to breathe under the same roof as the man who chose silence over our son's life. But something inside me wouldn't let go. Not of the pain, not of the questions. Why didn't he save him? What secret was buried behind those cold eyes? 2 years later, fate came knocking in the cruelest way possible. I was volunteering at a remote village clinic, running from my past, trying to find redemption in saving others, when a convoy of ambulances arrived after a massive bus accident. I rushed to help, adrenaline drowning my grief, and then I froze. There he was again. Adrian, my husband, or rather, the man I used to call that, still wearing that same air of controlled authority, barking orders at interns, his once dark hair now streaked with exhaustion. Our eyes met across the chaos of the emergency ward, and for a moment, time stopped. Every scar, every unanswered scream came flooding back. But before I could turn away, he approached me, his voice trembling for the first time. "Lena, I need your help." The irony burned. He needed me now? I wanted to spit in his face, to tell him how I'd buried our son alone while he hid behind his white coat. But then I saw the patient he was kneeling beside, a small boy, barely 7, his body covered in burns, his heart barely beating. "He's the only survivor," Adrian said quietly. "He needs a rare blood type, your type." I stared at the boy, my pulse echoing in my ears, something deep inside whispering that I'd seen those eyes before. I didn't hesitate. As the transfusion began, I caught glimpses of Adrian, his hands trembling, his eyes haunted. Something had changed. And then, as the boy's pulse steadied, I noticed the way Adrian touched the child's hair, the same gentle way he once did with Ethan. My heart twisted painfully. Later that night, when the ward was quiet, I found him sitting outside, staring at the stars with a cigarette between his fingers. "Why?" I asked softly, the words shaking. "Why did you walk away that night?" He exhaled smoke and pain, his voice cracking for the first time in years. "Because I was the one who killed him, Lena. I failed him before he even came to that hospital." I froze. He looked at me, tears pooling in his eyes. The day Ethan was born, there were complications. He needed a blood transfusion. I handled it myself. Arrogance, pride, and I didn't check the donor compatibility properly. The wrong blood entered his veins, and from that moment, I doomed him. When you brought him to the ER that night, I saw what my mistake had done. I couldn't try again knowing I'd be the one to fail him twice. So I walked away. I walked away because I couldn't live with my own hands killing our son twice. His voice broke, and for the first time, I saw not a monster, but a man who'd been living in a prison of guilt. My knees gave out as I wept beside him. years of hatred melting into a grief too heavy for words. But the story didn't end there. The little boy we saved, the one with my blood, woke up days later, asking for me. His voice was weak, but when he said, "Mommy," my heart stopped. His eyes, those eyes, were Ethan's. Same green flecks, same innocent warmth. I thought I was hallucinating. Adrian ran tests, his hands shaking, as he compared DNA reports, and when the results came back, his face went pale. "It's him," he whispered. "Lena, it's Ethan." My mind couldn't process it. "That's impossible," I said. "We buried him." Adrian nodded slowly. "No, we buried an unclaimed child from the same ward. There was a mix-up during the chaos that night. Ethan was transferred to a government facility for an experimental resuscitation trial. He survived, but was comatose for 2 years. My entire body trembled. The miracle I had prayed for, the one I thought had died with him, was sitting right before me, alive, breathing, whispering my name. But fate wasn't done testing us. Days later, the hospital was raided. Someone had leaked the story of the miracle boy, and corrupt pharmaceutical investors wanted to claim him as their test subject. Adrian and I had to fight, literally, to keep Ethan safe. We fled the hospital under gunfire, hiding in an abandoned chapel where I first met Adrian during our residency years ago. As rain poured again, Adrian stood before me, wounded, bleeding, yet holding Ethan close. "I'll fix this," he said, pressing a flash drive into my hand. "All the evidence, their crimes, the experiments, it's all here. If I don't make it..." I grabbed his arm, tears streaming. "Don't say that." But he smiled weakly. "Maybe this time I can finally save our son." He stumbled out into the storm to draw the pursuers away. Hours later, the police arrived, rescuing us, but Adrian was gone. For days, they searched, and when they finally found his car by the riverside, there was no body. Only his wedding ring and Ethan's toy bear. A year passed. I raised Ethan in peace, the scars of yesterday fading into the rhythm of everyday life. But a part of me still waited for a knock, a call, a sign. And then, one evening, as the sun melted behind the horizon, a letter arrived, in Ethan's handwriting, but with Adrian's seal. Inside were 2 lines. "A doctor never stops saving lives, and a father never stops watching over his family." Attached was a photo. Adrian, alive, working at a war refugee camp. His smile was faint, his eyes tired, but peaceful. I broke down, clutching the letter to my chest. For the first time, I understood what forgiveness truly meant. Love isn't about who stays. It's about who sacrifices everything so that others can live. And as I watched Ethan run through the garden, laughter echoing in the golden light, I knew Adrian had finally saved our son. Not just through medicine, but through love, through redemption, through the miracle that comes when broken hearts choose to heal. So, if you're listening to this story right now, remember, sometimes miracles don't arrive as flashes of light or divine voices. Sometimes they come disguised as the pain that nearly destroys you, only to rebuild you stronger than before. Never stop believing, never stop loving, and never stop hoping, because the miracle you're praying for might already be on its way.